Welcome to Infinite Universe with interesting episode. At 67, Angela Kelly, the Queen's closest friend and personal dresser, finally began to speak after many years of silence. Inside the palace, she had seen things that no one else did: private, emotional, and deeply human moments. She had been there during quiet times, joyful celebrations, and the Queen's hardest days. Now, Angela was sharing stories that revealed a different side of Queen Elizabeth, showing not just a ruler but a woman with real emotions and struggles. Angela was not born into wealth or royalty. She came from a simple background. Born in Liverpool in 1957, she grew up in a modest home. Her father was a crane operator, and her mother worked as a nurse. Angela always kept her strong Liverpool accent, even as she walked the polished halls of Buckingham Palace. Before she ever worked for the Queen, Angela had a job as a housekeeper. In 1992, she worked at the British Embassy in Berlin. That October, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip visited, and Angela had a short conversation with the Queen. Angela told her she was planning to move back to England. That small talk led to something she never imagined: a new life inside the royal household. By early 1993, Angela had become one of the Queen's dressers. She worked hard and soon stood out for her attention to detail and quiet loyalty. Within 3 years, she was promoted to senior dresser, taking over after the Queen's childhood friend and former dresser, Bobo MacDonald, passed away. Angela had big shoes to fill, but she did so with care and grace. Over time, she earned the Queen's trust, not just with clothing but as someone the Queen could rely on every day. Angela didn't follow palace rules in a strict way. She brought kindness and laughter into the Queen's daily life. The Queen trusted her so much that she allowed Angela to move into the palace. Angela became part of the Queen's world, someone who was always there. In an interview, Angela said, "I love the Queen and everything about her. She has let me get close to her, and she has trusted me for a long time." Their bond was built over years. Angela made the Queen laugh with her humor, and they shared moments of understanding that few others witnessed. It wasn't just about clothes. Angela was given the official title of personal advisor and curator to Her Majesty for jewelry, insignias, and wardrobe. This meant she was responsible for not only picking out outfits but also taking care of royal jewelry, medals, and making sure every detail of the Queen's appearance had meaning. Angela didn't simply choose what looked nice. She carefully thought through each outfit. She knew that a brooch or a certain color could carry a powerful message. For example, if the Queen was visiting a country like Kenya, Angela would plan months in advance. She considered the local traditions, the weather, and what message the Queen should send. She even reused old fabrics from the 1960s, believing in value and avoiding waste. One of the sweetest things Angela shared was how she broke in the Queen's new shoes. Since the Queen often had to stand for long hours, her shoes needed to be comfortable. To avoid pain from stiff new shoes, Angela wore them herself around the palace until they were soft enough. No one asked her to do this. Angela just wanted to make things easier for the Queen. Angela's workroom in the palace was tidy and filled with notes, photos, and samples. She kept detailed records to make sure the Queen never wore the same outfit twice at important events. But that didn't mean clothes were thrown away. Angela was skilled at updating older clothes with small changes, like new buttons or different stitching, to make them feel fresh. The Queen's fashion was never just about style. It was a message. Angela once explained in her book The Other Side of the Coin that bright colors were chosen so the Queen could be seen in large crowds. People might be watching from far away or on television, and the Queen needed to stand out. So those bright yellows, pinks, and blues weren't just for show, they were a smart choice to stay visible. Angela often used older fabrics that had been stored for decades, including silk and lace from the 1960s. She didn't waste anything. The Queen, too, believed in using what she already had rather than always getting something new. This mix of the past and present helped keep the Queen's style both traditional and modern. Angela's attention to small things showed how much she cared. She lined up jewelry, gloves, and hats, giving the Queen choices while always respecting her preferences. It was never about telling the Queen what to wear, it was about working together with trust and care. People always admired how elegant the Queen looked, but few understood the work that went into each outfit. Angela lost sleep worrying about the little things, matching gloves, the right necklace, or whether a coat looked just right. She wanted the Queen to feel confident and respected at every event. Angela was there for many historic moments. One of the most unforgettable ones was during the 2012 London Olympics. The world was watching the opening ceremony. Everyone expected music and grand displays. No one expected what happened next. Daniel Craig, playing James Bond, walked through Buckingham Palace in a short film. Then, to everyone's surprise, the Queen appeared on screen, sitting at her desk. She turned around and said, "Good evening, Mr. Bond." The world was stunned. In the next part of the film, the Queen and Bond got into a helicopter and appeared to parachute into the stadium. Of course, it was a stunt double, but when the real Queen showed up in the stadium moments later, the crowd went wild. This moment showed a different side of the Queen, funny, bold, and modern. Angela played a big role in making it happen. Most people thought the Queen would never agree to something like this. But Angela knew her better. She had seen her sense of humor and her playful side. She encouraged the Queen to say yes, knowing it would bring joy to millions. Angela wasn't just a dresser. She was a quiet part of the Queen's personal story. Through her work, she helped the Queen send messages to the world about strength, kindness, tradition, and humor. Angela earned her place through loyalty, hard work, and a deep understanding of the woman behind the crown. Now, as Angela opens up about her life and time with the Queen, she offers a rare and honest look into a world filled with grace, tradition, and quiet love. Her stories help us see Queen Elizabeth not just as a monarch, but as a person. Someone who laughed, who cared deeply, and who leaned on trusted friends like Angela during both joyful and difficult times. It's a story of friendship, service, and respect, one that reminds us that even in the most powerful places, humanity still shines the brightest. Angela Kelly helped Queen Elizabeth step out of her usual style in a clever and respectful way. She encouraged the Queen to try new things without losing her dignity, and the Queen trusted her completely. One time, Angela even played an April Fool's joke on the Queen. She placed a stuffed kookaburra bird outside her window and told her it had flown in from Australia. The Queen looked at it with a straight face and said, "You're joking," before bursting into laughter. That moment showed how close they were. Most people wouldn't dare joke with the Queen, but Angela could. She wasn't just a worker in the palace. She was a trusted friend. Angela often stood behind the scenes, helping the Queen feel comfortable and relaxed before public appearances. She made sure the Queen's outfits were perfect, and even more importantly, that the Queen felt good in them. She would fluff coats, crack a quiet joke, and step back when it was time for the Queen to shine. She helped preserve more than just style. She preserved memories and the quiet beauty of royal life, moment by moment. One of her most touching contributions came when she helped recreate the royal christening gown that had been worn since Queen Victoria's time. The gown had become too fragile to use. Angela didn't just copy it. She studied every detail to make sure it looked and felt just like the original. She even used tea bags to dye the lace so it would have the same aged color. The Queen asked Angela to take on this important task in 2004. The original gown had been worn by more than 60 royal babies, including the Queen's children and grandchildren. It was a piece of history, and Angela knew it had to be handled with care and love. She used lace from Italy and dyed it with Yorkshire tea to make it look just right. The first baby to wear the new gown was James, Viscount 7, in 2008. Since then, the gown has been used by many royal children, continuing a tradition that might have ended without Angela's careful work. When the COVID pandemic hit in 2020, life inside the palace changed completely. Public events stopped, and the Queen and Prince Philip stayed at Windsor Castle in what they called the HMS bubble. Only a small number of staff lived and worked with them to keep them safe. Angela was part of that group. She gave up months of her life, staying away from her own family to care for the Queen. During this time, Angela did more than dress the Queen. She became a companion, a housekeeper, and even a hairdresser. There were no outside helpers, so Angela stepped in wherever she was needed. She even did the Queen's hair before video calls, making sure Her Majesty looked just right. It was a quiet time inside the palace. Without the usual busy schedule, Angela and the Queen grew even closer. They would have tea together, sometimes talking, sometimes sitting in silence. They shared a deep friendship. When Prince Philip died in April 2021, Angela was there to support the Queen. No photos were taken of those private moments, but they were filled with emotion. Angela helped the Queen prepare for the funeral, one of the hardest days in her life. When the world started to open back up, Angela did something no royal aide had done before. She wrote a book about her time with the Queen. The book was called The Other Side of the Coin. It wasn't gossip or scandal. It was a heartfelt story of Angela's life with the Queen. The Queen gave her permission to write it while she was still alive, something that had never happened before. It showed how much the Queen trusted her. In the book, Angela shared what it was like to help the Queen get dressed, travel with her, and be by her side during both public and private moments. The book gave people a look at the Queen as a person, not just a monarch. Readers learned how the Queen liked her scarves folded, how she chose jewelry, and how Angela even wore the Queen's new shoes to break them in so they wouldn't hurt her feet. The book shared quiet stories that showed the Queen's warmth, humor, and routines. People loved it. The book became a bestseller. But not everyone in the palace was happy. Some staff felt Angela had gotten too close or had crossed a line by telling these stories. But Angela wasn't looking for fame. She just wanted to share the truth about the woman she had served for decades. She wrote the book with care and respect, and with the Queen's blessing. And there was one more story she shared that truly surprised people. The Queen, known for her formality and grace, once said she wished people could see her in a more relaxed way. She didn't always want to be seen as a distant figure. She wanted to be seen as herself. Angela understood this and arranged a private photo session where the Queen could be more casual. In one of the photos, the Queen had her hands in her pockets, looking natural and at ease. That simple image showed a different side of her, not the monarch, but the woman. It was a quiet, powerful moment that captured the Queen's true self. Angela also shared stories about how practical the Queen was. She often reused old fabrics from the royal stockroom, choosing to repurpose rather than waste. She didn't always pick new materials. Instead, she valued what she already had. This down-to-earth attitude surprised many, but it was a big part of who she was. The Queen also had a great sense of humor. Angela's April Fool's joke with the kookaburra was just one example. These little stories helped the public see the Queen in a new light. She wasn't just a symbol. She was a person with a kind heart, a practical mind, and a love for tradition. Angela's book touched millions. It gave people a new way to see the Queen not just as a ruler, but as someone they could relate to. The Queen's life was filled with duty and tradition, but Angela showed that there was also warmth, humor, and quiet strength. Their relationship was built on trust and respect, and Angela's stories helped keep that legacy alive. Now, thanks to Angela, the world has a better understanding of the woman behind the crown. Angela's story is not just about royal fashion. It's about friendship, loyalty, and the power of quiet service. She walked into Buckingham Palace with no title and no special background. She rose to become one of the Queen's most trusted companions. Through her work, she preserved royal tradition, created beautiful moments, and shared a version of the Queen that the world had never seen before. Her journey reminds us that sometimes, the most powerful stories are told not by those in the spotlight, but by those who stand just out of frame, quietly making everything possible. Thanks for watching. Keep it and stay tuned. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.